Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to another video on Happy RC Flyer here on YouTube. Today is Tools and Tips Tuesday, and today we have a nifty tool for you. It is the pocket scale. This is very inexpensive, obviously very small, but something that's very useful in the hobby of RC. Whether you're into RC planes or helicopters, microflight, or probably even vehicles and watercrafts and things like that, it's good to know how much something weighs. And so today we'll be going over this little pocket scale, some of the basic functions, which is pretty self-explanatory. And then also I brought a few things in a plastic sack here, some of the things that I find myself using on the pocket scale to try to find out exactly how much it weighs. When it comes to the little micro flyers, every gram makes a difference. And so without any further ado, we'll get into it. But if you haven't already, please take the time to subscribe. Subscribing helps grow the channel, and we're here to help grow the hobby. If you like that unsponsored, unbiased perspective on things, you've come to the right place. So take the time to subscribe and hit the like button if you like the video at the end. Drop a comment or question if you have one. It doesn't have to be just in relation to this product today, but it could be anything related to RC. And if I don't have the answer, I'm sure someone out there in the RC community does have the answer, and they'll probably jump in and answer your comment. So keep that in mind. Share the video with a friend that you think might enjoy it, and let's get into it. As I mentioned, this is a little pocket scale. It's kind of hard to see. I have a few different pocket scales, or maybe I should say I have a few different scales. This is one of the pocket scales that I find to be the most compact, and because of that, it's one that I usually carry with me in my hobby box. One that I end up using the most of, even though I have some others at my workbench, and maybe I'll review those at another time. But this just comes in a little box. I think this runs like, I think it's like $8, around $8 for one of these. If you just want to buy one, and then you can get two of them, I think for like $13 or $14. So I'll put a link in the video description if you want to purchase one. Again, these links in the video descriptions are not any kind of affiliate link. I don't make any money on the videos. I don't make any money on the products. Just a hobbyist here to share the fun that I have. So, but if you want to see what kind this is, you'll find the link in the description where you can purchase it from Amazon. It's pretty simple. You just open the box, and it's right there. So it has this nice little clear plastic cover over top of the buttons and the scale board here, which is really nice. So it's called a pocket scale. You can obviously put it in your pocket, but it works good in your hobby box. And if it bounces around, you don't have to worry about the buttons getting any kind of damage, or the screen getting any kind of damage, because it has this clear plastic lens on it. So you just pop the side of it open, and there you get to it. It has a pretty simple on and off button, and as soon as you power it on, it wants you to calibrate it, and that's where you'll hit this tar button. And once you hit the tar button, it calibrates it or zeroes it out. You want to make sure you do that. I think every time it's going to prompt you to do that. It's not going to show zero out on the screen until you hit that button. You can change the units. There's a backlight you can turn on and off, and that's pretty nifty. There are a lot of scales to choose from, and I'm a little partial to this one for a few reasons. As I mentioned, it's pretty small, and because it's got the clear plastic cover on the front that covers the buttons, but also because it uses a common battery. It just uses a couple AAA batteries. So I find that really nifty. If you have one that uses the CR2032s, or I'm trying to think of some of the other little watch style batteries, those can be a little more expensive when it comes time to replace these. And you don't have to replace them very often. I've had this for quite a while, and these are cheap batteries for maybe like the dollar store or something, and they work fine for me. But like I said, when it comes time to replace it, saves you from having to buy really expensive batteries if you have something that runs on a common, what I would call household style battery. So there's that. Here's a little box that comes in. I think there are some instructions in there if you're apt to read instructions. And let's get you a closer look here so you can see the product and see what we're doing. Okay, here we are. As I mentioned, it's pretty self-explanatory. Just has some of these basic function buttons on here. The on and off button, kind of pretty much know what that does. And we're going to go ahead and zero it out just to make sure we've got it calibrated correctly. And when it's calibrated at 0, you'll see this little icon on the side that pops up, just letting you know that it is calibrated. Here I have a few items that I usually will take the time to weigh. Depending on what you're using them for, of course, it makes a difference. First off, here we have a little bit of solder, and there's not much there, but sometimes if you're going to work on a project, you want to make sure you don't add too much weight to the project. And there we have 0.4 grams, 0.39, so not even a half a gram of solder there. If you're soldering things, depending on what you're working on, it's nice to know that you're not going to add too much weight to it. Here we have a little cooling fan, which would be something that I use on the DJI Air units to cool the air units. And 4.68 grams, 4.69. It is a little bit easier to view the display in person than it is with the camera. I think it has something to do with the shutter. We'll see if I can get the contrasting adjusted a little bit. Maybe make it a little easier for you to see. I don't know. We'll try it out. So anyway, here we have a servo. This is, I believe, a 9-gram servo. Of course, it's going to be a little bit more than that with the weight of the wires. And we want to make sure that it's all on the pad. So it's actually 10.6 grams. So a little bit over 10.5 grams with the wire and the plug. So even though it's a 9-gram servo, it's going to weigh a little bit more if you have a long plug on there. Let's see, we have a battery here, a UMX battery, and this is a 1-cell 150 milliamp 25C, and we have 4.6 grams on the 150 milliamp. We have another 150 milliamp, and that is 4.2 grams, and you say, well, wonder what the difference is. Well, look at the difference in the Velcro that's on them. There's a tiny patch of lightweight Velcro. It's a little bit different. Different types of Velcro make a difference. Here's another battery. This is not a 150, but this is a 200 milliamp. Try to get it to focus there, but it's a 200 milliamp 45C. And so obviously it weighs a little bit more, 5.75 grams. So all that matters when you're working around with little micro planes. Here's another battery, 4.4 grams. And another 150. This one doesn't have any Velcro on it. This is just how you would get it out of the box. 4.3 grams. And we have one more little battery. And this is a Trinergy Nanotech pack. It's 160 milliamp. I know it's kind of hard to see there, but it's a 40C. Is that correct? Yeah, 40C battery. 160 milliamp, and it does have Velcro at 4.3 grams. So anyway, it's kind of interesting. Some people say, well, that's not really necessary, but it all depends on how you want your aircraft to fly. Some of the little UMX planes, like the UMX Vapor, the Night Vapor. Trying to think of some other airplanes. There was one I was messing around with the other day. The UMX Spacewalker, one of my favorite UMX flyers, and that plane, it really makes a big difference what size battery milliamp you're using. So you can fly with the 200s, you can fly with the 250s. I think I've even flown it with this 160, but it flies the best on like a 70 milliamp. So all that makes a difference in how much Velcro you use. Here's a patch of Velcro. So we got almost 5 grams worth of Velcro. That is both sides there, of course, and then it's going to weigh a little bit less when you pull the little plastic cover off. We have a visitor here at the park, very friendly, little house cat, somebody's cat, I'm sure, maybe one of the neighbors that live nearby the park. But anyway, I thought he was going to take over the show here for a minute. So there you have it, very nifty. I will say there are a couple things that are drawbacks that I dislike about this pocket scale. And it's the reason why I have more than just this scale. And the reason is this pad, to put stuff on to weigh it, is very small. And also, I don't know if I can show you the profile of it, but if you lay something across there, it can touch the buttons. So if you're going to weigh something that's larger, like an aircraft, I like to weigh my little sub 250 FPV quadcopters and helicopters and those sorts of things. And to weigh that, it's kind of difficult to balance the nose of the aircraft, and kind of balance it and make sure you're weighing the aircraft and not letting it rest on something else. So that's something to keep in mind if you're going to weigh something larger. It's nicer to have a larger scale. This one is a little difficult because it just has a small weighing platform. And I believe this goes up to 500 grams. Let's just double check it. And the way we can test that is we're just going to slowly add weight with our finger. 70, 80, 90, 100, 130, 40, 50 grams, 200 grams, 220, 250, 270, 290, 300, 380, 400 grams, 450, 460, up, yep, right there is where it's going to kick off, right at 500. So this only weighs up to 500 grams. And again, I know I mentioned it already, but I can't emphasize enough that the display is much easier to read in person than what I'm able to capture here on the camera for what I'm seeing on the display. Maybe it's showing up better than what's just in the display. So anyway, there's that. And like I said, it's pretty straightforward. Now see, you want to be careful of this if it's not zeroed out. We do have a little bit of wind blowing, but it could have been because I pressed on it. And so this tar button, just recalibrates it. So some of the little pocket scales that I have do come with a little pocket weight, a little calibration weight, and then before you start weighing anything, you put that little designated weight on the scale and make sure that it reads the proper weight of that designated weight. So those are kind of nice, but those are a little more expensive. But this is just probably one of the cheapest ones that you can find, one of the most compact, one of the most basic to use, and seems to be very durable. From what I found out, I carry it around in my hobby box. It gets rattled around. I've carried it in a plastic sack before I carried it in my box. I think I have maybe at least a couple of these. You can see it might even have some scratches on the front. And I did have to replace the batteries, I think just once since I've had it, so the batteries do last a good long time. And that's something that I think that you'll find helpful, something that's been very useful for me in the hobby. It's not the end-all fix-all, because it's nicer to have a larger scale if you're weighing an aircraft or larger items. But for a lot of the things I do with little UMX planes, checking the battery, trying to notice the difference, paying attention to how you do your Velcro, what style of Velcro you use, how big of a patch of Velcro that you put on there, and how all that makes a difference in your overall weight, and how it'll make a difference in your flight characteristics, and even change your CG. So some of the little aircrafts, what is it? I think the Mini Vapor, or one of those little Vapors like that, I think they only weigh about 14 grams. So you start to add 4 or 5 grams to it, a gram or two makes a difference. So regardless of what your teacher said back in school, your English teacher, grammars do make differences. Alright, well there you go guys. Hope you enjoyed that little video. Like I mentioned before, if you haven't subscribed, please take the time to do so. That'll help me out. And hit the like button if you like that content. Drop a comment or a question if you have one. Share it with a friend you think might enjoy it. And we'll catch you again in the next video. Thanks for watching.